Now we know that there is a soul and that it is located at various places in the body. Why is the soul located at a certain place at a certain time? It has to do with your consciousness, mood, and the place that you are living in, as well as the people around you. Also, the location of your soul is affected by higher forces and your own past life karma. Depending on where your soul is located, you will have a different concept of life, feelings, and thought patterns. Even your energy level will be different. Basically, the 13 components of consciousness will be affected in one way or the other based on the location that your soul is in. As I already told you, a group of people who have their souls in a certain location of their bodies can influence a single person whose soul is currently at a very different place to shift its soul to the common location. Alternatively, I have shared that I have this ability to shift the location of the soul of even a group of people. Currently, my capacity is limited in number, but I realize that over the years it keeps growing. Also, it is through my increased practice and hours of interaction with people as a teacher, guru, or motivator or counselor. Besides that, my own unified meditation practice increases my range of impact in moving the soul of people from one location to another to achieve a certain state and change that they wanted to achieve but couldn't achieve. For me, changing the location of my soul is a very important part of my day. Whenever I have to be with people whom I have to listen because they are clients or superiors, relatives, or strangers who don't care about who I am and certainly couldn't give a rat's foot that I am an expert in meditation. So these people, I have to change the location of my soul to suit them in the process of interacting with them. If I didn't do so and stayed in my default location, which is a secret for now, then there would be conflicts. I would not be able to mix with them. Basically, I would be unsociable. And that's not what I want, especially in this stage of my life. I don't want to be pissing off people by being myself. That is this writer whom you are reading. I had to hide my true identity for my own safety. And if you are reading it, I might still be in hiding. However, if you are reading this book many decades after it was written, then it would be a different story. And maybe you know me as a celebrity or as a world teacher, or maybe I'm still in oblivion. Anyways, back to the topic about moving the soul. So, when I'm with people who do not need to respect me and my authority with regards to the knowledge that I possess and the capability that I have, then I move my soul to a location that is most suitable, not to offend anyone and not to pose a threat to anybody. You can look at the diagram on your right and above. You will see that there are three sets. Each set begins with a starting position of the soul, which is in the leftmost corner. At first, the soul, which is indicated by the red line, is towards the chest area of the person. So this person has a activated heart chakra. He is spiritual, kind, loving, trusting, and trustworthy. In the second diagram, The soul is in the head area. So this person is somebody who overthinks most of the time, because you can see a line touching the throat chakra. This person is also individualistic and egoistic. And then in the third diagram, this person's soul is in the stomach area as well as touching the genital area. So it's a materialistic person with a lot of ambitions, focused on taking care of his family. Now, I want to teach you how to move the soul. Now that you are convinced that the soul actually exists, I know some of you are still not convinced, but it's okay, so play along. So you come to the second row of the meditating persons. What you do is you have to focus in the area between the eyebrows, which corresponds to the sixth chakra. It is also called the Agya chakra, meaning the command center. So this sixth center of consciousness, or COC, is the remote control by which you move the soul. As you can see by the arrow, which is the blue one, in the first set, try to move the soul towards the stomach area, and then concentrate on the stomach area that is indicated by the red blotch. You will know that you have attained the stomach area, because the spiritual and the kind, trusting person will become very calculative and materialistic within few minutes upon reaching that location. It won't be like day and night, because even though I've shown it in a diagram that there is no connection in the above area, in reality there'll be still some connections, because that's the original position was in the heart area. However, there'll be a pronounced change in your feelings and thinking, and even your personality. In the same way, by focusing in the second set and the third set, you can see that the meditating person is able to change the location of his soul to the heart area from the head area, and from the stomach area to the throat area, respectively. Now, why would anyone want to move his soul from the head to the heart? Well, it would be to be more trusting and to be less calculating and more humane. It has its own advantage to be kind, by the way. And then the advantage for somebody who is a visionary, materialistic, and family-oriented person to move to the throat chakra, or the fifth center of consciousness, is that for at least sometime in the day, he can be individualistic and think for himself and not for others. The truth is that when you are able to move your soul, it is like going on a holiday. In fact, moving the location of your soul is the true holiday. You are in a totally different environment, because you have moved from who you were to who you want to be for some time. The world will not accept you in this new temporary location, because it is compliant and expects others to be equally compliant. But you can go on a holiday to the different locations. As I told you, this is the true ultimate holiday, the freedom from your own self. In a time where we take our laptops and mobile phones on holidays, and get calls from the office, clients, employees, bosses, family members, while we are in the middle of the ocean or the desert or top of the mountain. This kind of soul traveling is a wonderful experience that you will never want to miss. In this way, I have described to you how we can move our soul. Next, I want to talk about the various senses of the soul. Take a look at the diagram directly. You'll understand it as the same meditation block that we talked about earlier, but I have removed the three components of body, mind, and soul. However, I have kept the two pentagrams representing the physical world and the spiritual world. I have zoomed out the physical world and zoomed in the spiritual world because it's the one we are going to talk about in this subsection. You will see that there is this meditating person with the 20 location of the soul. Before I continue, let me give you some background. I could never be bored. How? Well, whenever I was alone and there was nothing to do, I used to go inside myself and project a world around me consisting of living entities which had their own minds and objects that somehow followed the laws of physics. And then I used to interact with them with senses that were akin to my physical senses, but definitely they were not the same. I used to travel in that projected world of mine. I talked to people, or should I say living entities there. There were dramas in there. Psychologists call that imaginary friends nowadays. Yes, it's that, but it's more than that. That didn't prevent me from interacting with the physical world and the real people. And that projection from myself had its limitations, and I knew it. When I was young, it was not a time of abundant food, even though we were not poor. And I used to want to eat stuff. The amazing thing is that I could project food and I could taste it. On top of that, I would feel my tummy was full. Did that spiritual food increase the calories and thus my weight? I doubt it, but it fulfilled my craving. At times, when I was thirsty and there was no water, I used to drink from my projection, and it worked perfectly well. My thirst was quenched. Again, when I was young and I wanted female company, which was not readily available in my days because girls were not that liberal at that time, then I would project those damsels that I talked to you about earlier, and we had fun talking, teasing each other, even physical contact or whatever spiritual contact you mean. In no way I felt that it was unreal or my imagination, because the satisfaction was so total. You can say that it was everything real except the fluids and smell. But let's say that I wanted to smell a rose, then a rose would be projected and then I could smell the rose. Now, what I'm getting at is that, like I have shown in the diagram, you have to practice this projection of objects and entities that is represented by the green circle with the yellow object inside. And then the senses are in your heart area. So by focusing in your fourth center of consciousness, then you can sense that object using your spiritual eyes, spiritual hands, ears, tongue, and nose. By so doing, you have begun the activation of your soul senses. Now, this is so incredible and almost laughable, but if you are able to overcome this apparent ridiculousness of my proposition, then you will be able to acquire the soul senses that will open the doors to an unknown, fantastic world of spiritual projections. And that is extremely necessary exercise to make progress in unified meditation. In fact, in the 30 steps that I discussed earlier, what I just taught you now is a very common and major practice. So I'm sure that you got inspiration from me, and you can practice over time. You'll get better at it, and you will feel the benefit from it. Before I move on to expanding the soul sense and activating your extrasensory perception, I would like to reassure you about the authenticity of my theory about the soul and the soul senses with this particular analogy that you can see in the diagram. This is the gestation of a human baby. This is why I call this chapter biology, because the soul is a living organism, and it has its own life cycle, properties very similar to the body. It's just at a different level. Anyways, in the diagram, you can see that at the beginning, it's an embryo, and then it grows slowly, looking like a baby. And finally, it becomes a full baby that we can recognize. Eventually, it comes out of a mother's womb. Soul senses are similar. At the beginning, it doesn't seem real. But over time, by practicing and nurturing your soul senses, they take their own form and identity, and develop their own characteristics like that of a human baby. The soul senses are evolving organisms. In fact, the soul is an organism of its own kind. For those who are not practicing, it is at the embryo stage for a lifetime. But for those of us who are able to nurture it and let it grow, then it can take amazing forms, like the one I described earlier, where I was able to project entities and objects and experience them. There were so many benefits of that, besides just not me feeling bored and having female company. The other benefits were that I could sense my own ascended masters who were trying to teach me stuff, because if I was able to enhance my spiritual sense of hearing the damsels, I could definitely hear the silent, quiet voices of the ascended masters who were trying to guide me. Well, I think you got the point. Pleasure is just a way for us to develop higher interest and senses, and it was the same for me in the spiritual world. So, coming back to the analogy of the gestation of the human body, at various stages, the soul appears different. At the beginning, it even doesn't seem like a human. Later on, it develops its own personality and capacities. My wife had a miscarriage when she was 3 months into pregnancy. The doctor told us that the third month is very critical, because somehow the baby is about to change its position, but somehow it couldn't, and as a result, many miscarriages happen at that particular time. So if we move abruptly in that particular period, then the baby cannot take that necessary position. And then later on, the mother has got to move, contradictory to the earlier behavior strategy, to make the baby survive. Similarly, for us to develop our soul senses, we have to adopt various strategies in various periods of the development of our soul senses. At the beginning, it might be just a conservative imagination, and later on, it can be wild imagination. That will be followed with, again, controlled projections. Eventually, it is going to be about sensing the projections that the higher beings send to us. Eventually, it is the ability to move around the spiritual world and feel the real existing spiritual entities that are not projections. I know at the beginning it's all confusing, but this is how it progresses. Now, let me take you to the actual diagram for this chapter, or should I say, this subsection. In order to practice unified meditation, you have to expand your soul senses to becoming extrasensory perception or ESP. The difference is that the former is about experiencing your own mental projections as well as the realities in the spiritual world that I just talked to you about. Then the ESP is about experiencing the spiritual component of the physical realities. I know now I'm really stretching your mind way too far, but wait, it will become clearer. As you can see in the diagram, I have put the Eiffel Tower at the top. By the way, this pentagram represents the physical world that was small or zoomed out earlier. And then below the Eiffel Tower, there is a mountain with the sun. And at the bottom, there's a group of people. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is that even the Eiffel Tower has got a spiritual aspect in terms of not soul, but energy matter or prana. Everything has chi or prana, even non-living objects. Needless to say, the mountains will have also prana. People will have both prana and souls. So now, what is necessary for you to do is to extend your spiritual senses to try to actually touch the Eiffel Tower, climb that mountain, and interact with that imaginary group of people. The difference now is that your projection or imagination is not about the spiritual world, but it is the recollection of the memories about the physical world. Whereas earlier you were imagining within yourself or the space around you, now you are imagining actually being far away. For example, in Paris, you have to imagine that you are traveling at an infinite speed that is maybe thousands of times faster than the speed of light. And then you are there. Mind you, this is not just an imagination. When you think in that infinite speed with which you are moving across vast areas to experience here the Eiffel Tower, for example, it has really transpired. That is the beauty of the soul. You might doubt my words and think that this is just pure imagination, but you have moved and you are actually in the Eiffel Tower that you remember, of course, from the memories that are in your mind, either because you physically went there one day or you saw it on some pictures in movies or on the internet. It doesn't make a difference because it's now in the memory and you know that it's in a place called Paris. The thing that I just taught you about thinking that your soul has sped through space at the infinite speed of thousands of times that of the speed of light is very critical. Although at the beginning it might not feel real, slowly you will begin to feel it is real because it is real. This particular ESP of traveling at infinite speed is a major requirement for practicing unified meditation. And this particular technique is the most obvious and easiest one to practice infinite speed traveling of the soul. And then once you are there, use your spiritual senses now that have become extrasensory perception to climb the Eiffel Tower, see it, feel its metal, smell the rust. You might even see some activity around the Eiffel Tower as if it was a real occurrence. Now that we have live CC footage, you could imagine in it as being a CC footage also. but it's in your spiritual eyes that you get the video. You could see the cars moving around the place, the people walking there, the birds. Again, it doesn't have to be totally true in terms of physical reality. The spiritual world has got a lot of dimensions, and it's highly influenced by the mind. So what you're experiencing might not be the exact thing that someone else would experience even if they practice the same thing, but it is not less real. Then, after you're done experiencing that place and seeing the world around that place, return back at the infinite speed, which is thousands of times of the speed of light or more, to where you are. You have to think that your soul actually traveled and it now is returning. Of course, if somehow you had to wake up of meditation right away and you didn't have the time to think that your soul was returning, you do not have to be afraid that your soul be stuck at the Eiffel Tower in Paris. It would come back anyway because it has never left. However, by practicing the going and the return, the soul is now learning the very important ESP of traveling in the physical world through its spiritual components. That is so important in unified meditation. That will be one of the most important skills in your final ascension upon your death. Without such a skill, it will be very difficult to stay in the meta soul level and become an ascended master in the future of your soul. So practice this teaching very diligently. In the same way, imagine a natural place like a mountainous area or the ocean or the desert and go there. Myself, I preferred to go to the Grand Canyon of the USA. I used to travel as an eagle. It used to move so fast. There were mountains on both sides that were brown, and I was just flying through them. I was an eagle, but it was me. I could see the landscape moving, the heat, I could feel also. Most importantly, I felt my soul move and I felt free, emancipated. I was truly there. It was more real than me traveling to other places by getting a stamp on my passport. Finally, go to a crowd of people. It can be your imagination or the news that there's some gathering somewhere in your city. Or it can be that you know that there'll be people in your office or in your school or in your college. However, somehow you're not there on that day. Let your soul go there at infinite speed. Just hear what people are saying. Some people might be gossiping about you, and it's okay. You might not be able to hear clearly, but you are hearing something. You might recognize some people, and most of them will be unknown to you. Just move around that crowd, feel that crowd. Again, when you are done, return back to your body. Your mind will register this experience as real. I myself practiced that when I was 17, as I told you earlier, which was my first phase of meditation. I used to go to the group of girls I liked and see what they were talking about me. Isn't it obvious that that's what any boy would do at 17? If he had such a skill and power. Anyways, it was fun and it felt real. In my case, the extrasensory perception manifested within my own body, meaning that for some time I could hear people with my physical ears. I know it sounds incredulous, but I have no reasons to lie. As I told you, I don't seek any followers, nor am I here to impress the gullible ones. Then, as I've been telling you earlier on, I let go of these powers of ESP and I stopped hearing people talking, especially about me. What was the point? Let them say whatever they want. It doesn't matter. it stopped mattering. I grew up, I matured. Along with that, that particular ESP of clairaudience got lost, leaving way for higher intelligence, memories, and skills, which are the major and most important part of the 13 components of consciousness. In this way, you have learned about the soul's ability to move and the soul senses as well as the ESPs. I repeat, these skills are of utmost importance if you want to make real progress in any kind of meditation, not only unified meditation. Learn the real deal from me.